All right, we got a great interview. She was here 2 months ago. Stephanie Hauser, you were from the WIAA executive director 2 months ago.
I would say it was right at the start of our winter tournament, so about 2 years or 2 months ago exactly. And hey, before we lose that last thought, Heroes Among Us. I mean, what an amazing notion! Thanks for doing that. That's so well needed.
I just love doing it. It's people ask me, like, do you ever get tired? It's like inspirational because every story is different, and I've told probably 50 stories, not 50, but 30 stories or 35. It's just, they're all unique. And I had a husband and wife team last year. It was just like so cool that bring them together. And the amazing thing about it, not to get too far off what we're going to talk to you about, they're all, you have to like pull it out of them. They don't want to talk about their stories. They're like so humble. But when you get it out of them, and that's usually involves a longer conversation, like off mic, then it's like, it just comes out of them. So they're ready to tell the story. You just got to.
And we don't talk about it enough. And you're right. It fills up your tank. So thank you for taking the opportunity to highlight those.
All right. Well, let's get to the point of what we want to talk to you about today. Big news. Wisconsin and the WIAA has decided to join the ranks of what is it? Are we the 41st state now that is decided that high school students can also now engage in NIL, name, image, likeness? I know last year this was up for a vote and it failed. But then on Friday, it passed. And so I think for a lot of us who have heard numbers, talked about the portal, and we've seen what's happened in NC2A, there's still a lot of storytelling of what this is going to look like for high school students. So I guess out of the gate, what can they now do starting in May? What can high school athletes now do that they couldn't do this last season?
Well, thank you for prefacing it with the reality, because the whole term name, image, likeness just brings angst.
Yeah.
It makes people real edgy and nervous to hear it because they have seen what has transpired at the collegiate level. So let's go back a year. You are correct. The membership did fail that proposal a year ago. It was a fairly close vote, 45% to 55%. But again, the number of high school state associations from just 1 year ago has grown by about 10. I think we were right around 30 last year when our membership said, no, we're not ready for this yet. And you're right. We're at like 41 state associations now. And so that is the growing trend across the nation. The key piece to know is that although students will be able to gain financially on their name, image, and likeness, Wisconsin, like many other state associations, has put up guardrails to really try to preserve and protect what we know as amateur athletics and high school education-based athletics.
Walk us through those. What are those guardrails?
Some of the biggest things that you'll see as a difference from what you're seeing happen in the collegiate level is, number one, high school has rules about undue influence in recruiting. It's not allowed. Our membership agrees that they will not recruit students away from each other. You see, quite frankly, with that and the transfer portal at the college level, that's exactly what's happening. High school also has transfer rules in order to preserve it truly to be education-based, school-based, community-based. There are rules about transferring schools that are very strict in comparison to what's allowed at the college level. Quite frankly, kids can go wherever they want to at the college level now. I think the third key piece that is different is that at the high school level, boosters, alumni, people who are directly connected with schools cannot be involved in offering NIL deals to high school students. And at the collegiate level, we've seen just exactly the opposite. Collectives, boosters putting their money together to make offers to kids to, again, pull them away from somewhere else, come over by us because we can give you more. That's not going to be allowed at the high school level.
So what is a use case of a current high school athlete taking advantage of this opportunity now? Like, what does that even look like?
Well, the reality of the data across America is telling us that this is really only going to apply to probably about 1 in every 100 high school student athletes. Most businesses will tell you there's not a big return on their investment to have a high school athlete endorsing your business.
Yeah.
They'd rather donate to the school district because they know what kind of impact that has within their community. So we're talking about a very, very small number of student athletes. It'll be just as simple as this. If I have a craft, Stephanie Hauser, and I'm very good at teaching the game of basketball, now someone can hire me to use my craft, and they can pay me to do it, even though I'm still in high school. That was not currently allowed in the past because it directly tied to your athletic ability.
If the student now can benefit or will benefit from NIL, does the district and the school itself, the school proper, also benefit, or is it just a either or situation?
It's an absolutely or.
It is.
The school cannot be involved in any way, shape, or form in the student securing an NIL deal or being part of it. In fact, the student cannot use anything affiliated with that school, their conference with the WIAA to represent themselves either. And that's for the protection of the student athlete themselves. If I put on, a jersey from my local high school and I'm going to get some type of personal gain, at one point is that local high school going to say, what's our piece?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering that, because I mean there is that sort of crossover. They're known because they play for that school, but you can't really identify the school. It's the person, their face, their image.
So this is going to allow a student athlete at the high school level that has a specialized talent in athletics to gain just like another student that's walking down the halls of their high school that may be able to gain because they are exceptional at performing arts. Or, have an artistic craft that they are allowed to then sell one of their photos to a local magazine to put on the cover because they're so talented. A student athlete would now be able to do something very similar to that.
What is the social media part of all of this? Because I feel like a lot of what the stars of the NC2A, like Paige Buchers, who just went, she has like something like 3 million followers across all of her platforms. And so I think when I think of some of the student athletes in college, they also have these huge social media followings that get leveraged in some of these NIL deals with brands. Is that part of this, as far as, because there's obviously a lot of thoughts and feelings around social media and youth right now.
Hold your thought on that, because we got to get to break here. It's 10:25 roughly. Yeah, that's called the tease in the radio business. Stephanie Hauser, Executive Director, WIAA. Kristin, Steve, point taken on 620 WTMJ. Oh, it's point taken on this Hump Day edition for all you kids out there. It's Wednesday. I love doing that joke, even though no one laughs at it.
Hump Day?
Hump Day! No one calls it Hump Day anymore, which is sad to me.
I think a lot of people call it Hump
Really?
Day. Yes.
No one ever says Happy Hump Day to me.
Most radio shows have that Geico commercial on like a hot button.
Whether
to
they do it, I don't care. We're doing it. That's what I'm saying. Kristin Brey, Steve Scaffidi, our special guest for the next few minutes. Stephanie Hauser, Executive Director, WIAA. I left you hanging. You were ready to answer the question that we threw at you, which I've completely forgotten already.
Of course. The social media and the role it's going to play with NIL and high school students is basically what I was asking before the break.
And again, there are 40 other states that have kind of led the way on this. The data that they have collected is showing that actually is the area where most kids are likely to get an NIL deal, because they've grown a very large influencer crowd. Yeah. And so we anticipate that a lot of these kids will get approached through their DMs, and really important that their parents understand that that's likely how they're going to get contacted, because ultimately high school eligibility responsibility lies on the student athlete and their parents to make sure that they do know and understand the rules. Their athletic director is a resource for them, and so it is going to be really important if kids are approached through those social medias that they make sure their parents and their athletic director are aware.
Are there going to be like agents or managers or any groups helping parents navigate this?
Students are not allowed to secure an agent for the purposes of anything in high school related to their athletics, including NIL. But they absolutely can seek legal counsel if needed to make sure that an agreement that they're going to enter into is sound and appropriate for that student athlete.
Yeah, it's going to be a work in progress. You have to figure it out. That goes for the WIAA and for the parents and the kids. But ultimately, I think it might be a good benefit for some kids, and hopefully it goes well. All right, we've got some more questions for our guest, Stephanie Hauser, Executive Director, WIAA, who will be a guest on my podcast, by the way, coming up in the near future. Kristin Brey, Steve, it is Wednesday. All right, celebrating Wednesday. We got a great guest this hour. She is from the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. I had to think about it. WIAA, as they call it, which is a lot easier for all of us. Stephanie Hauser, Executive Director. You had a little piece of information for all those listening about the NIL and where folks can get some more information if they have questions.
Absolutely. We'll tie this into the importance that parents and student athletes need to be informed about this new information. So the WIAA website has a page of eligibility, and there is all kinds of information on there about the new NIL language. There's also a Q&A that's being collected, and that's being updated daily right now. So please refer you to the website, be educated, and when in doubt, just go to your local athletic director. They are your best resource to make sure that you understand this new rule.
ADs are amazing. They do a lot of things, because I know a bunch of them, and they juggle like all these different things they have to do, including scheduling referees on some occasions, if they don't have some staff to do that. So they are a good resource for any question about any of that stuff. This is a big one. You and I talked about this last time you were on, right? Open records is a very hot button topic. We want to know what you're up to, and that goes for governmental agencies, elected officials, and in your case, an attempt to find out what the WIAA is up to as far as their communications. But as you reminded me last time, or at least informed me, you're a private organization. You don't take public money, correct?
Correct. I think that is probably one of the biggest head scratchers. Most people hear WIAA and they automatically make assumptions. And one of those is that we are not private, that we are tied directly to government. WIAA is a private, not-for-profit association made up of member schools, both public and private. 16% of the membership is private schools who voluntarily belong to the association. WIAA does not take any federal, state tax dollars. We, in fact, don't even take dues for our member schools. So there is no direct money that comes in from our schools paying the WIAA to belong to the association. Almost 85% of the WIAA's annual revenue comes from ticket sales for regional, sectional, state championships.
And typically in the past, those statements you just made would exclude you from open records, public records legislation. But as we're finding out, as we're reading some of the things about this story, that's not the case. The legislature are looking into, and private citizens in some cases are asking for access to your communications. You're going to be testifying this week on this subject. What are you going to tell them?
Well, I think we'll start with some of the facts we just talked about. I would say that there probably are a lot of legislators in Madison that really don't know that about the WIAA. So I think getting facts in front of them is the first most important piece. And then the second question that I always ask people is, well, what is it that you're looking for that you don't already have access to? As I said, our website is public facing. The vast majority, anyone in the world can get if they want to. In fact, our annual meeting, which was our biggest democratic process that we have, was held last Friday in Stevens Point. Our members were invited to come in person, but it was live streamed publicly. Mm-hmm. Anyone could watch that. So again, our 513 member schools have access to all of the WIAA business, and anybody that would like that information can already get it from those members.
So then I guess the flip side of that is like, well, if you're already being this transparent, what's the problem with having access to public records? And so is it a matter of not because you are a nonprofit having the resources available to provide that? Or what is that? What burden would that provide for you guys versus the transparency you already provide?
Well, you referenced one piece of it. Sure, that's an additional burden that our staff of 20 will be a heavy load to carry. We represent over 70,000 student athletes and their families. As many of us know, athletics is a highly emotional topic. So we do think there would be a pretty significant burden that would come with those requests. But more importantly, I really believe it's just the philosophical application of open records to a private institution, to a private association. What's next? Who's next? If I'm another private association out there and I hear this, I'd be concerned. I believe it starts a slippery slope.
It's a fundamental change in the way we've done things in the past, and it
Agreed.
opens up all kinds of problems for
Is there a lot of
organizations.
energy behind it from what you can tell? It's obviously been introduced, but is there...
That I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how much energy is behind it, but certainly we take it seriously. And so each time it is introduced, which it was 1 year ago as well, we went and testified, in opposition to it, and some others did as well. And I expect there'll be some others tomorrow that will also testify in opposition to it. Again, I think the biggest concern is the slippery slope that it begins. Where does that stop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stephanie Hauser, Executive Director of WIAA. We're going to take another quick break. One last segment. I got some questions that relate to NIL. I want to throw those at you because they're good questions. And anything else on your mind, 855-616-1620 is Deciding Unlimited. WTMJ, talking text line. Point taken. PT, Kristin, Steve, 620 WTMJ. Thanks for tuning in on this Hump Day edition, Kristin and Steve, on the Point Taken program, 10 to 12 weekdays right here on WTMJ. Don't forget it. You Need to Listen podcast.
Drops tomorrow.
Which is outstanding. We talked about the Pope and the passing of Pope Francis and a lot of things that are related to that storyline. So it's a really good one. When we walk out of it. Faith, yeah, our
church.
faith. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I learned the last time you went to church.
Yes, not that long ago, which is a good thing. All right, Stephanie Hauser, our guest, Executive Director, WIAA. A question I want to ask you real quick. Some texters, I'm paraphrasing, are concerned that if you have NILs for individuals, that you sort of destroy the team unity concepts. I don't know. I mean, there's already jealousy in sports because one kid's better than the other kid. I guess that's part of it, right?
Why isn't my kid starting?
Yeah, that's a big one.
playing time, all conference awards, all district awards, all state awards. Sure, could this be one more thing that kids get jealous about or frustrated about? Certainly it could be. I hope that, this falls in line with those other types of accolades. Some of the better players will just likely receive more attention than others. It's kind of a fact of life.
Yeah.
Sports is not always fair.
No, life's not fair.
And sometimes you just don't have, there's other kids. That's one of the great equalizers of, not equalizers, but like the realities of sports is that at some point, you're going to run into, you're not the best anymore, whether that's at the high school level or the college level or the NBA level, and whether it's because you get too old or you're not good enough. There's just like, that is the reality of it. And you have to, as an athlete, come to terms with that.
If you'd allow me just for one moment, I'm heading over to an event tonight, a Manitowoc County Hall of Fame, and I'm the keynote for that event. And the theme of my address is not everything you need to know about life you learned in kindergarten, but everything you need to know about life you learn in athletics. Yeah. And you just hit on all of those things. Life isn't fair. Sometimes people are better than you are at certain things. And
sometimes you have a career-ending injury in high school and you don't come back from, like, there's just a lot of things, but it's like, that's just what I love about sports and the character building of it, is it teaches you resiliency.
Absolutely. And hopefully they have great coaches and great supporting system that can help guide them into those life lessons.
Yeah. All right. So this is something I'm passionate about. I just said what sports have meant to me, what it's meant to my family. And I feel like when it comes to women in sports, the last handful of years, the conversation has been dominated by trans athletes. And I feel like it's so often we then forget about all of the other aspects of supporting and advocating for girls in sports. And like, this is the one issue when there's so many others. And so when it comes to your position, as far as advocating and supporting girls sports, what else do you think we could be doing and focused on?
Well, again, back to the beauty of being part of a private organization. Our 513 member schools drive the bus. They really tell us where the growth they'd like to see. And so recently our membership proposed the addition of a new sport, girls wrestling.
Nice.
And over the past 3 years, that has absolutely exploded. So we have progressed to thousands of female wrestlers, to the point where this year, for the first time, there was a team championship awarded, and it has just, like I said, grown exponentially. So we are always exploring new opportunities to bring to not just the girls, but to all of our student athletes. Last year, boys and girls lacrosse was added as a brand new WIAA sanctioned sport, and we're seeing awesome growth in that sport as well. So always looking for new opportunities to find those kids that haven't found their niche. Because again, talking about life lessons that athletics teaches, it's a way of connecting kids to their school. So if there are new opportunities out there that can connect a young lady or a young man to their school in a new way, it's going to help them succeed. And we're all about helping them find those opportunities.
I love talking about my high school. I graduated from Oak Creek, and we've had...
What was your sport?
Basketball and baseball.
Is that why you think you can beat me in horse?
I probably can beat you in horse. I have a very good three-point shot. Anyway.
I might be able to beat both of you.
Yes. You might be able to beat both of us. Well, there's not many women that I could look eye to eye in. So when you walked in today, I was like,
playing in the NBA,
lady.
for Pete's sake. You got an advantage to us. All right. Some quick love from the text line. Great job, Stephanie. WIAA official for 50 years. Bill from Oshkosh. Great job.
Thank you, Bill from Oshkosh, and thank you for being a WIAA official for 50 years.
Imagine the stories he could tell, Bill from Oshkosh, because I've been around that stuff. It's interesting in sports. You wanted to just sort of hit on a couple points before we let you get out of here on some of the things you're working on, some of the distinctions about why you are a private organization. So hit on those quickly.
As just mentioned, our members make the decisions. We have an elected board of control, and then again, an opportunity at an annual meeting for all of the schools to come forth and cast their vote on what amendments they'd like to see and what changes they'd like to see for the organization. Again, commonly misunderstood, the WIAA is not part of the government. Our 20 employees are not part of the Wisconsin retirement system. We do not take any federal or state tax dollars. We are revenue driven by ticket sales, people coming to watch and support their local kids playing for regional, sectional, and state championships. And so we do operate as a private association. And again, those are pieces that we understand we have to continue to educate each year. Each year, you have a group of seniors that graduate, a new group of freshmen that come in, and so you have a whole new group of parents that really don't know much about the WIAA. So we do understand that this is a process that is ongoing to help people understand what WIAA is, and sometimes more importantly, what it is not.
When's the Celtics' next game?
Well, they closed out the series last night, so they get a mini break. You're asking a mom an embarrassing question. I don't know when their next game is.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm not sure if they know their opponent yet. So,
You don't go to all the games.
oh, no.
No, weekend games probably, maybe.
On occasion. We did go to game 4 in Orlando on Sunday night.
How cool is that?
Very cool.
Because that's a unique experience to have a child, your
Who's
son.
got a ring?
Who
There's
has
an
a ring.
NBA championship ring?
Yeah, do
There's a
you
simple-
put the ring on occasionally?
I tried it on once. It's huge. There's only one word to describe it as a parent. It's surreal.
Yeah. Stephanie Hauser, we're going to talk on the podcast at some point in the near future. She's the executive director, WIAA. Thanks for spending some time. A lot of important topics. Some of
this
these
was
touch
great.
on politics. Love the fact that you're willing to come in and have those conversations.